So this video is all about making a bag that you can use to keep your projects when you are like in the middle of the project, you have to put it away, right? So it's a work in progress bag. And I have had other bags where I've, when you're working on a project and it's the middle of the night and it's time for you to go to bed and you have to put it on the side and then pick it up the next day, you want to have a place for them. And I've used like Ziploc bags and things like that, like this, for like my patterns, etc. But I decided, I wanted to make a bag that was big enough, wide enough, where I could fit my pattern pieces and my fabric and all the things, all the hardware and everything that I'm using for this bag. The inspiration for this bag came from one of these, packages where you buy your sheets from. And I always like to use them because look, they're like the perfect little cube. And you have a little zipper on the top and they're wide enough, but usually they're not long enough. So that's why I created this one. So this is the inspiration. This is the final piece. As you can see, it's see-through. That's the idea to making it see-through so that you can easily spot it from a distance. If you have a specific pattern that you're looking for, etc., you can easily see it. I added a pocket here in the back because I want, if I print my pattern, the instructions, I want to be able to put them in there, and then I can see them from a distance again, but also keep them safe and so they don't get damaged or uh, torn apart or anything like that. And here, for example, I made this big enough to fit some of my bigger patterns. Like, for example, this pattern right here is for a bag. And look how long it is and how wide. It fits in here perfectly. And I can just close it with a zipper. And look, it fits perfectly. And I can add my fabrics and I can add everything in there. And it's all organized and ready to be used. So I have like more patterns here, for example, and I can just stick them in there, my templates, and look, perfect. And those are like the longest templates. Of course, there's some patterns that are smaller. There are some patterns that are smaller, and you don't need such a big bag. But for big patterns, for large bags, this is perfect. And then I have enough space here, enough room to put fabric, to put my hardware, anything that I may need. And then the pattern instructions are back here, ready to use. And so this is a nice touch because it keeps your pattern instructions with your pattern pieces together in one place. I put the measurements down in the description for this video so you can pull them up that way. I've also added a PDF of the measurements, etc. on my website. You can check it out. If it's not live when you see this video, it will be live later on. I'm working on that. So as soon as I have it on my website, if you're watching this video later, you will be able to pull it up that way. But enjoy it and let's go ahead and get started, okay? So for this bag, I used this vinyl. It's really thin. I bought it at Walmart a couple of years ago. I liked it because it looks like lace. So, but it's really, really thin. It's kind of like tablecloth vinyl, like the one you buy for like a picnic tablecloth and things like that. So that's what it is. I used a 1/4 yard of this because it's 54 inches wide. So it's pretty wide. And then some clear vinyl. This is 12 gauge clear vinyl for the pocket in the bag. Now that's completely optional. You have the top and bottom pieces, and these are 12 inches by 2.5, and you're going to round one side of the corners. Only, it's going to be a rectangle, but you're going to take one side and you're going to round it and round it. I did about an inch and a half round. From here to here is 1.5 inches, and then I rounded that section and that section, and the same with this one. The front panel is 15.25 by 14. The back panel is 12 by 15. And if you want to add the little pocket, this is optional, but if you want to add it, is 12 by 9. For this, I wanted to add a little piece of binding. This is not cut on bias, it's just cut on grain. It's 2 inches wide, and I folded it twice, and it turned into this binding, and I think it will give it a nice separation between the pocket and the back. You need 4 zipper tabs, and these are 1.5 by 2 of any cotton fabric that you have that you want to use. And I'm using zipper by the yard, which is this one right here, and I cut 15.5 inches of a zipper by the yard, and just make sure you have one zipper pull. That's all you need. Because of the vinyl, you will need a Teflon foot. So find one that is the right one for your machine. And you're going to need a zipper foot. So this one is the one I used for my Yuki. Sometimes the 1/4 inch foot also works, but just to make it easier on you, just find a zipper foot for your machine. If you're using a brother or a singer, which is what I also have, so I have the zipper foot for those. These are just some form of zipper feet for those machines. If you have another one, then I may not have the foot for that, but just find a zipper foot. And I'm using white thread, 100% polyester, because it just matched perfectly with the color of my vinyl. And even though it's going to you'll be able to see it a little bit because of the orange, it doesn't matter. I think it'll be fine. Another notion that you will need is double-sided tape. This is optional if you're going to add the pocket on the back of the bag. So make sure you have some double-sided tape handy. Now we're going to add the tabs to the zipper ends. For this, what I do is that I take one of the pieces, the 2 by 1.5, and I take one of the sides along the 2 inch, and I fold it by about a 1/4 inch. You can use a iron to press it, or you can use your fingers and press it that way. I used my fingers, so I'm going to take a marking pen. I'm going to mark it about 1/2 inch down. I'm going to place it right sides together. Here are my zipper teeth. And I'm going to place the edge that is not folded along those markings right there. Just try to center it as much as possible. Like I can fold it in half here and place that half like right in the center of the zipper teeth. And then that way you know for sure is halfway there. You're going to take it to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam allowance right down the center here from the edge to edge of the zipper tape. You're going to do the same now on the other side. Wrong side of the zipper is facing you. You're going to take the right side of your zipper tab and you're going to place it right sides together with the other one. And again, you're just going to take it to the sewing machine and do the same thing. Once you have it like this, you're going to stitch it along the edge here, not stitching the zipper tape. Okay, so you're going to, if you need to place a marking where you're going to stitch, you can, but just make sure that you stitch kind of like along where the zipper tape is, not catching the zipper tape. You're going to do that on both sides. Make sure the bottom fold here is folded up towards the wrong side of the fabric. Now you're going to trim off the excess fabric here. I kind of trim the corners a little bit. You're going to take and you're going to fold it up. And there it is, your zipper tab. Or it's already folded, the edge here, so if you need to stitch it, it's already folded, and then you have your zipper tabs all done. Now you're going to take your zipper and you're going to find the half point by folding it and using your marking tool, and you're going to mark the half point on both sides of the zipper tape. And you're going to do the same with the top and the bottom. Now, because I'm using vinyl, I am not going to use a regular marking tool because it's not going to work. What I'm going to do is use a permanent marker. And I'm going to mark it not on the straight side, but on the curved side. So just find your half point and get your permanent marker and just mark right there. Just a little dot is enough. Because this is going to be, you're going to stitch over it. You're really not going to see it. So it's fine. Just do a little dot. That's all you need, really. Okay. Okay, we're also going to mark the front panel halfway. So you're going to take your side, that is the 15 1/4 side. You're going to fold it in half, either half. All the markings are done now. So now we can join the zipper to the rest of the bag. And we're going to start with the top. The top here, we're going to find the half point and we're going to do the right sides together. So if you know, because you have maybe a vinyl that it has a printed design and you know which one is the right and which one is the wrong side, you're going to find the right sides together. And you're going to take your zipper with the zipper teeth facing down, and we're going to match here our two markings. Okay, down in the center. And then here you will have some leftover fabric. I just want you to know, but I can feel kind of like the edge of my zipper, so I'm going to match that to the edge of my vinyl. Actually, let me use this one. Okay. When you get here to the corner, what you need to do is take your scissors and you're going to carefully trim and do some little like snips, and that will help your zipper tape open up and go around the curves with no problem. Okay, and use as many clips as you need. That will help it give in and open up for the curve. And I open my zipper because it's just easier to work that way. Yeah, again here, as you can see, I'm getting to this part and you can feel the tension on the zipper tape. And if I just snip and snip, snip, 4 or 5 times, however many times you need to, then you will have a tape that will give in and it will let you go around the curves with no problem. It always gives problems, but less problems. Let's say it that way, right? A little less problems. Okie dokie. Okay, so. Okay. And again, I try to use as many clips as I need to because why not? I want my stuff, my fabric and my zipper to stay in place. So now we're going to stitch it, take it to the sewing machine, stitch it at a 1/4 inch seam allowance along the edge, and you're going to use your zipper foot for this. Perfect. So now let's take your front piece, your front panel, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to find the long side, right, the 15 1/4 side, and you're going to find your marking. You're going to look at your right and wrong side of your vinyl, and I think this is, it's hard to tell, but I think this is my inside there. Okay, so right sides together, here are my zipper teeth, and here's my marking, and I'm just going to match my markings there. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to find my edge here of my zipper, and I'm going to align it to the edge of my top panel. I just like to double check, make sure that I'm not twisting this and it's perfect. Okay, so yes, that's where it's supposed to be. And this should be pretty flat. Shouldn't be any problem stitching this one with curves, etc., because this is a flat piece of material. Just move your zipper around until you have it matching all the edges and everything looks good. Okay. When you start and stop, you're going to start and stop at a 1/4 inch from each edge right here. Okay. Because this is vinyl, I am not going to backstitch. I'm going to pull the thread because I don't want to create an extra hole that is not necessary. Start and stop at a 1/4 inch, so it's marked right there. You can just put it, and it should be easy. It should be a straight stitching. So after joining the zipper and before you continue adding the other pieces of your bag, go ahead and top stitch your zipper tape along the top panel and the front panel like this. That way your bag looks finished and it's also easier when you're using it. Um, that way the zipper tape stays in place and it doesn't move around like this or actually get caught in the teeth of the zipper. So go ahead and fold it like this, okay, on both the top and the front panels. And you can stitch it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, 4mm stitch length. This is how it looks when it's finished, when it's top stitched. Okay. Next, we're going to add the bottom panel to the front panel. And you're going to take the little markings that you did a few minutes ago, and you're going to match them. Then for the side, you're going to take the side that is the curve, and you're going to align it to this edge, to the bottom edge of your front panel, not the side edge, but the bottom, okay? Like that. You're going to put a clip here. You're going to do the same here. So you're pretty much are going to match the straight part of your bottom panel along the side of your front panel, like so. Also, as you add the pins here to join these two panels, make sure that you're adding the panel right sides together, okay? And if your vinyl is like mine, that doesn't really have a clear right and wrong side, look at your zipper. This is the front of my bag. You see the zipper teeth and it's folded, it's finished. So I want the seam to be on the inside, not on the outside. So make sure that you look at your zipper teeth and they're kind of looking on the inside of your bag, and here on the outside is the back. And that's how you're going to join your front and back. Believe me, I've made this mistake several times and I'm trying to avoid you from making the same mistake. So here it is, plenty of clips. And as you can see, it's kind of wrinkled there a little bit, but it's okay. Now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to stitch it at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, still 4mm stitch length. And I am going to walk you through the process. I am going to start and stop at a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to mark it here, a 1/4 inch, and I am not back stitching because of the vinyl. And I'm just going to finish this bottom part. So let's go ahead and do that. Couple of tips I want to mention. At this point, you're going to switch to your Teflon foot because now we're dealing directly with the vinyl. And also, when you're stitching this, try to place your flat side or the panel that is the flattest against the bed of your sewing machine. So the panel, the bottom panel is what's the flattest. And so I am going to start like right here at 1/4 of an inch from the seam, and I have enough thread that I pulled from the bobbin and from the top to be able to tie the knot when I'm done. And so I insert kind of my vinyl pieces there. So, and it moves, and it's okay. This is when you have to work work the material, and if you have to fold it and create like a little pleat in there, you do that, and then lower it and get started. Take your time in this process because there's a curve and all the clips, and so it's okay. 1/4 inch seam allowance, get started. I almost forgot. I almost backstitched, and it's a habit. It really is. So needle up, pull, and just cut your thread. And what I do here is that I take one of the threads, and I'm sorry, it's this white thread is kind of hard to see, but as you can see in there, I kind of pull it, and do you see the little loop? I pull the thread, the back thread, through the stitching, and so now both threads are in the front, and I just tied a knot. Consider liking this video and subscribing to this channel if you have learned something today. For this step, if you're adding the pocket to the back of the bag, you will do this before you join the bag to the back panel, okay? So you're going to, again, choose your right side of your vinyl if it's applicable to your material. And you take your pocket, and like I added this binding to the edge of the piece of vinyl just to kind of help it separate. And again, this is really simple. I just cut a strip of fabric on grain, not on bias, 2.5 inches by like 16 inches, and then I folded it 4 times and added that to the edge here. Now the key here is not to stitch these first and then add it to the actual bag. Why? We're trying to avoid adding a lot of holes to our vinyl, right? So we want to stitch it all at once, one time. So in order to avoid this from moving around when you're stitching it, I'm going to use double-sided tape, and I am going to just place a few pieces of the double-sided tape on the sides and the bottom. I'm taking my pocket and I'm just going to match the edges and stick them together. And if you make a mistake like I just did, you don't have to worry about it. It will come right off. Okay, just the edge there, the edge here, and the edge here. Okay, perfect. Now I'm taking my bag and right sides together. Okay, so here's the zipper teeth. Here are the zipper teeth, and this is the pocket side facing down. I am going to match all 4 sides. Okay, here in the corners. So when you join the back to the front, you know, you gotta move it around, making sure all the corners match. You want to start here at the bottom, and you see this little corner. That's where you will, you know, match the 3 corners there, and the same here. When you get to the top, it's a little tricky. It kind of has like a curve here. It has like a curve here, so you have the back side sticking out, and that it's okay. That is okay. When you stitch it, you're going to stitch it up to this point, and then you're going to stitch it. You're going to stitch it kind of around this curve, okay? It kind of creates a natural curve, and then you'll trim off the pointy edges with your scissors. Also, make sure your zipper is open. See, I almost made the mistake, but if you just move the zipper pull a little bit like this, you can open your zipper, because we're going to turn this right side out, and you want to make sure that you can easily do that. An optional thing that you can do if you don't want to turn your bag right side out is adding the back to the front on the right side. So you will be adding binding along the 4 edges, but I didn't want to add any binding. I just wanted to do it this way, but that is another option. So instead of joining the right sides together, you're going to join the wrong sides together, and then you can bind it around the 4 sides of the bag. Either way is okay. We're going to stitch it at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, 4 millimeter stitch length, and you're going to place the back of the bag against the bed of your sewing machine. Okay? When you get here to this corner, you're going to stop, you're going to turn your bag, and you're going to continue stitching. And when you get to that corner again, you're going to stop, keep the needle down, pivot your bag, and continue stitching. And here on the top side is, you're going to just follow the curve of the top pin. Before we turn it right side out, I am just going to kind of trim off the little corner here. Now, you see this fabric, this little flap here? I am going to leave it the way it is because I already folded the edges here, so the raw edges, you can't see them. If I trim it, then you'll have the raw edges. But if you want to make the zipper tabs a little bit smaller so that you don't have that, or if you want to fold it more than just a 1/4 inch, you want to fold it all the way, you can do that. It doesn't really bother me, but it depends. You know, this is for personal use. This is just for me to keep my things organized as I'm working on a project. So it is really, I'm not too concerned about it being like absolutely perfect. I don't want it to be bad quality, you know, too bad, but I'm not too concerned either. So now we turn it right side out. If you don't want to do, if you don't want to, you know, do this part because you don't want your vinyl to kind of weaken with all the turning, or if your vinyl is kind of thick and you know, it's hard to turn it, then you definitely can do the binding. The binding option is probably the best option for you. So during the birthing process, just make sure that you poke all your corners out like this. This process takes a little bit of time, but it's important that you do it. And as you can see, you will see your back here, your pocket, and it has a little bit of a touch of the fabric at the end of the zipper pull, at the end of the zipper tape, or at the end of your zipper. And here it is. Now look how nice this looks with your pattern instructions here, all the pattern pieces on the inside, and materials, etc. Now, if you want to learn some of the techniques that I've used to cut vinyl or how to work with clear vinyl, check out my videos here. Ciao.